funny if like they had a postseason tournament where they're like, since we have so many Bulldog names, like we need to narrow it down to one. So whoever wins gets to keep their name. You'd see the best basketball of your life. There's going to be some crazy shit. People are going to bet Eastern Washington, they lose by 10. And people are going to be like, oh my God, this team sucks. Or like Montana State blows a game and people are like, what the, the Big Sky's trash.
I feel like I just can't take you seriously. And at the same
program.
time, yeah, it's like I simultaneously can't take you seriously and I'm extremely interested in everything that you have to say.
That's good. That's what we need out of this stream. Okay, is that like inertia or something? There's like a.
Well, I mean, like moving water requires colder energy to freeze. I can go call my mom. My mom literally lives on a river in Wisconsin.
What do we call that? Boots on
ground. Yeah. Okay, so you've got your mom's house on the under, and you've got life savings on UNLV. What else? What else can we wager? Future Kids College Fund. I mean, yeah. Well, so we're gonna double up, right? So we're gonna parlay the house and the life savings, and then we're gonna roll that through on something.
Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's. I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leave on I levy. No sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do. Hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm cool. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. God slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like a fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit up my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboy Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's second stream out of 3 streams. We've got a massive college basketball slate to go through. It was massive enough that we had to push back this stream a little bit. I needed a little more time to get in the lab, and I actually still didn't quite finish up. I had the last maybe close to 10 games, not 10 games, the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 games I wasn't able to get to. But we can kind of work through those on the fly if you guys have questions about those. Big slate. A lot of bets to be placed. A lot of games to talk about. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. I guess first things first. Little roll call. I'm assuming we're gonna have some more people showing up when the surgical stream ends. But for now, we got Heisenberg in the house. It says laptop delayed. Hopefully it'll be here. It won't be here till Tuesday. Hopefully no more audio issues. Yeah, I think that was what you were having with the echo. Was a StreamYard issue. I went on the surgical stream a couple minutes ago, and they had like a banner on the top on StreamYard that said like Android users are experiencing an echo issue. We're working on a fix. So that's just what that was. What's up, Sick Money? How's it going? What's up, Run Forest Gump? What's up? What's up, J Coop? Let's go CBB time. I'm excited. And what is up, Gavin? Yeah, we got a great college basketball slate today. I'm liking the look of the slate. What's up, T Spencer? Says, already made 10 college basketball bets today. Almost all already have major CLV. That is a W. Hopefully we align on a lot of things. I have placed 1 bet so far, which is actually in the game starting at about 10 minutes. So we'll start off with that one in a second. Also, what's up, Krizza? How's it going? Okay, so I think basically everybody who has at least commented in the chat right here was here in the morning. But we'll do a little quick recap of the bets that we had yesterday. So we had the Davis Pepperdine over as a lean. That ended up hitting. I think it finished on 157 or something. FIU minus 4.5 was a good thing we did not bet that because that was cake. They lost outright. We had South Florida. I bet it at 17.5. Closed at 20. Might have even closed higher than that. It was 20 when we did the stream. But that was air. They won by a million. Nebraska 25.5, 26.5, 26, whatever the number you got was, as long as it wasn't 27 or higher, you ended up hitting. 27 would have pushed, so that was definitely tight down the stretch. But we'll take the win there. I did end up betting that. Georgia Tech minus 11, they won, did not cover. Good thing we didn't bet that. SMU minus 20, I did end up betting that, even though it says lean on the screen. That was an L. I was sketched about back-to-back days. Should have stayed off. American and William & Mary over. Went under by a few points. Got a little optimism down the stretch, but not quite. Tulane. Depends on the number you got. So I got in at 17 yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago now. That ended up pushing. Tulane pushed at 17. It was 15.5 when we did the stream. So if you got in and placed it during the stream, you won. Northwestern State hit a bucket with 5 seconds left to take it from a 19-point game to a 15-point game. That was a little bit of piss. That's the way it goes. Had the Elon, East Tennessee State over. 145.5 at stream time. I think it closed even higher. I got in at 141 the night before. But that cashed easily. And then North Florida ML, plus 120. First underdog ML of the season for me. That cashed. Hint, hint, there will be more underdog MLs today. Also, what's up? Noah says, what do you like in the OSU Texas A&M game? Definitely leaning A&M. I'm not sure if I'm going to bet it, though. I know that there's that trend of home favorites against home unranked favorites against road ranked teams. So I don't love betting against that. I don't love the fact that what's his face Battle is probably not playing for A&M. But I still think that A&M is the better team here. I'm not sure that I'm going to bet it though. What is up, Sam? How's it going? So we got Gavin in here again. Have 2 bets today. Bunch of gross leans. Gross unders. What's up, Brad? Want to know today with Air Force? Yeah, W call from Ben on that. Always trust Ben with the Colorado schools. Mountain West schools in general. Krizo's on A&M. Love to see it. Jacob says, like that under? Decided to just nuke Tennessee instead. Yeah, I definitely like Tennessee. Between the 2 games where you have that unranked home team favorite against ranked road underdog, Tennessee is definitely the spot that I like more. Although Wisconsin did put up a 100-piece in their first game, which I was surprised about. I actually bet against them in that game. So don't love going back and fading a team that I lost on the time before. Hard to tell if it's like, hey, is this an emotional bet? Am I using my handicap from the first game and using it to bet on the second game, even though it doesn't really apply anymore? So that's never something I really love to do. But definitely lean Tennessee there. And more confident in Tennessee than A&M. And I agree, Jacob. Not sure how Tennessee scores. What's up, Clay? How's it going? Dirty Turtle says, boots on ground at OSU and A&M. Cannot reiterate how non-existent home court advantage is for OSU. W. All right. So 5 minutes left until tip-off in the second game of the day. Bit of an ugly one. Central Connecticut State and Quinnipiac. So we are currently looking at Quinnipiac at home here, -8 on DraftKings, -9 on Caesars. Kind of just depends on where you look. Over/under sitting at 145.5. I had a pretty strong lean in this game that I'm actually just going to bet, so we have something to sweat out as we are going through the rest of the slate. And that is actually Central Connecticut plus the points. So Central Connecticut was a really, really bad team last year. But they've got returning talent. They were kind of a young team last year. They have some good guards, bring in some good front court pieces. And Quinnipiac lost a lot last year. 5 of their top 7 scorers from last year. They brought in like a guard from UConn who played basically not at all there. They brought in a big from Wofford who played a little bit more of a rotational role there. But this Quinnipiac team doesn't look like particularly scary. They don't have a big go-to scorer. I guess Matt Belanc is a good scorer. But aside from that, it's a little tough to see where the offense comes from here. I mean, and Central Connecticut State definitely not an offensive powerhouse by any stretch. But I think that they have the returning talent to kind of just get the job done. Keep it close here. Also worth noting, these 2 schools are pretty close to each other. It's like a 30-minute drive. I looked it up. So maybe not the the biggest home court advantage for Quinnipiac. So give me Central Connecticut State plus 8.5. Or I guess it's just Central Connecticut now. I probably wouldn't be betting this if it wasn't a standalone game during the stream. But I like it enough that I'm comfortable betting it here. And yeah, new coach for Quinnipiac as well. So this is going to be the game that we're sweating for the first half hour of the stream, because in the second half hour of the stream, we actually have a second game that we are going to be sweating out. So Charlotte and Liberty in the 4:30 Eastern game. I want to get through a couple of these early ones first. I guess these are the only two ones that are going to be going on during the stream. But I also really like something in a Charlotte and Liberty game. And that's the underdog. I like Charlotte. So Charlotte has a new coach this year. Their head coach came from, Tony Bennett's staff at UVA. Coached at Charlotte for like 5 years and went back to UVA as an assistant for some reason. It's kind of weird that he did that, but whatever. But their new coach, Charlotte, is his assistant, another guy, pack line defense system. So we shouldn't see a whole lot of change in Charlotte this year. They lose Ali Khalifa, who was a big for them. Definitely one of the better bigs in the conference, and one of the better mid-major bigs in all of college basketball, if we're being completely honest. Ben, we know you love your wife, W. Ben's wife is named Charlotte. I don't know if that was a joke or if he likes Charlotte today, or if he's just saying that he loves his wife. But either way, W. But yeah, no, I think this Charlotte team looks pretty good. So they lose Ali Khalifa. They also lose Bryce Williams, who was their leading scorer last year. Lose one other rotation piece. They bring in some really, really good-looking transfers. They bring in Deshaun Jackson from Washington State, who played 16 minutes a game. Their average 6 points, 4 boards last year. It's like 6'10", 250. Another guy who can just absolutely bang in the paint. Big-time interior presence. They bring in another big, a 7-footer from USC who didn't play a lot, but is a guy who looks really good. Bring in a guy from Rutgers who, again, didn't really play at all at Rutgers, but is a senior who's been in that system. Plus, just have a lot of other good returning pieces. Return their point guard. I like the look of the Charlotte team a lot. And Liberty. Been one of the best mid-major teams in all of the land over the last few years. But their big player, Darius McGee, is gone. And I don't think we can overstate how important the Darius McGee loss is for Richmond. He's scored like 2,500 points in his career. One of the best mid-major players in all of college basketball, but he's gone now. And they do bring back a lot, but they don't have that guy who can be a spark plug. I mean, Liberty struggled a lot last year at times with McGee on the bench. I mean, he played most of the game, every single game. But when he was either somehow schemed out or on the bench, it was like a little bit tough for them to find his go-to scorer. They definitely have talent. They still have guys who can shoot, but I think inside against the Charlotte team, they're really going to struggle. And I think Charlotte knows that, so they can pressure the three-pointer a little bit more and really force Liberty to work inside. I don't think Liberty's going to have a lot of success doing it, so give me... I like the plus 4.5 for Charlotte, but I think the thing I'm going to actually bet on here is just Charlotte outright to win this game. Also, worth noting, if you go and look at, I don't know, like ESPN, it says Charlotte at Liberty. This game is a neutral site game in Charlotte, so it is basically a home game for Charlotte. So if you're betting on Liberty because, they're at home, they're not. It's a home game for Charlotte. So give me Charlotte ML. Let me take a look at the best price right now. Looks like plus 175 on PointsBet. Plus 172 on DraftKings. Plus 160. 172 on FanDuel. 160 on DraftKings. All of those are fine prices. I'm going to quote the PointsBet price just because it's the best number. But give me Charlotte ML plus 175. And yeah, Jacob says, might have to cash out a Liberty bet. Thought that it was at Liberty. No, yeah, it's a air quotes neutral game in the tournament in Charlotte. So there's 4 games in Charlotte today. There is the actual Charlotte and Liberty game. There is the UVA Florida game follows it up. There is 3 games, I guess, actually, and then the Virginia Tech South Carolina game. Those 3 are back to back to back on the same court. T. Spencer says lean over. I actually also have the under as a lean here, just because Charlotte plays so damn slow. And if we'd like them to cover and win, I guess that kind of implies the under also. But I like the look on Charlotte more. All right. So Ben, also, when you said that you love Charlotte, were you talking about your wife or the basketball money line today, or both? Need to know. All right. So next game on the slate, I guess we're done with the 2 early games. So let's jump into some redemptions that we have. So TJ says talk about Minnesota UTSA. Let me look this up. I have a 7-page Google Doc of my notes that I've compiled. Although this one, I think. Okay, you're talking about your wife. Good. Okay, so UTSA and Minnesota. I didn't have a lot here in this one. I mean, I kind of lean Minnesota. I don't think that UTSA looked very good in their opening game. They took a Western Illinois team that played a terrible game following this one up at SMU. They took that Western Illinois team to overtime at home, which I don't love if we're thinking about UTSA. Minnesota also didn't look all that great. I mean, they beat Bethune-Cookman by 20, which is, I mean, I guess was technically a cover, but not by much. It was a 2.5-point cover. I lean Minnesota in this spot at 12.5. I think it's at. Let me double check. Boom. Yeah, it's like 11.5, 12 now. But yeah, it was not a strong lean. More so just being unimpressed. Oh shit! I just unplugged something on accident. I was trying to untangle some wires. Give me 1 second. Just unplug my light. Or what the hell did I just do? Or I flickered it. There we go. That works. TJ says, be on UTSA plus 12.5, boots on ground, fading the alma mater. Bold. But yeah, I get it. It's not a strong lean for me, not something I'm really considering taking at all. My whole spiel says lines here seem right. Minnesota is the lean, but meh. Also, what's up, R-Claus? How's it going? All right, and we have another redemption on from OK Brooks on the Yale game, specifically on the under in the Yale Gonzaga game. This is definitely one of, I guess, on face level, one of the weirdest lines of the day. We've got Gonzaga, powerhouse, year after year after year, sitting at 12.5-point favorites at home against Yale. What's up with that? But taking a look at these two teams, especially Yale. Yale returns a lot of really, really, really damn good talent. This is a team that went 21-9 last year. Missed out on the NCAA tournament. Of course, Princeton got that bid from the Ivy League, upset Arizona in the first round of the tournament. Yale loses like two good players, but brings back 4 double-digit scorers, all of whom can shoot the three, including August Mahoney, who shot 46.7% from three last year, and is not even like, he was the third leading scorer out of those guys. They bring back a ton of depth too. Bring in a transfer from Northwestern. This Yale team looks pretty good. It's tough for me to not take Gonzaga minus 12.5 against a school of Yale's level, just full stop. But this Gonzaga team, I think, has a lot more question marks than Gonzaga teams of years past. Of course, Timmy is gone. Strother's gone. Rasir Bolton is gone. Malachi Smith is gone. And they don't bring in, like, tons. I mean, Ryan Nemhard is an awesome transfer ad. Second time they brought in a Nemhard as a transfer. Ryan coming in from Creighton, where he obviously was one of the better point guards in the country last year. Steele Venters transferring in, who is out for the year, says T. Spencer, coming in from Eastern Washington. And some freshmen. Although this recruiting class for Gonzaga doesn't look like quite as good as some of the past Gonzaga recruiting classes. So there's definitely like some legitimate depth concerns here. Oh, yes, and Graham Ike. Yes, coming in from Wyoming. Yeah, you're completely right. But yeah, I mean, this Gonzaga team just like doesn't look quite as good as last year's team. If we're thinking about an over, I'm definitely concerned about Gonzaga maybe slowing down a little bit because they literally don't have a guy who's played a minute of D1 basketball coming off the bench. If, like, with Venters out for the year, they literally have 5 guys, both for dinner and for number of players that have played a minute of D1 ball. So it's really just comes out of the freshmen. This game is so sketchy. This game is so sketchy. Because, I mean, Yale is good. I mean, and there's just so many questions about how good Gonzaga is going to be. So this is a massive stay away spot for me. No thoughts on the spread. No thoughts on the total. I think this is a great game for us to learn about Gonzaga and learn about Yale too. But beyond that, probably nothing. Also, what's up, Papa Bane? How's it going? We had Pace B come up the first time chat, said thoughts on Samford plus 5.5. So Samford, I always like Samford basketball. I don't know. There's just like something about the relentless full court press all the time that I love. They had a horrible first game against Purdue. Samford is a team that struggles against teams that can shoot the three. They are a team that 1 minute. Trent coming in with the big boy raid. Party of 306. Your table is honestly is not ready. This is just like a little studio apartment. I don't think we could fit 306 people in here if we tried. I mean, it would be like a little clown car. It's the clown car. It's not ready. I called ahead. Chelly, I'm sorry. We need another half an hour. We need another half an hour, if we're being honest. But welcome in everybody from Trent's stream. Obviously, this is Capwise. We're here talking about sports betting. Or I guess we can call this Yapwise instead. Just going through the college basketball slate. I was on the surgical stream a little bit earlier. Gave out my favorite play today, which was Boston College -9 on the road at the Citadel. But there's a lot of games today. We got 80 plus college basketball games. Obviously we need tempo and pace on the surgical stream, but we're working through it all slowly, surely today. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Appreciate all the follows. Appreciate all the W first time chats. Let's get back into the slate. So quick recap of what we talked about. I am on Central Connecticut plus 8.5 in the game going on right now. Have not looked at the box score. Hopefully it's going well. We'll see. Also going to be on Charlotte ML at plus 175 against Liberty today. It's a kind of sneaky pseudo home game for Charlotte. I mean, it says like Charlotte at Liberty, but it's a neutral site game, air quotes, at Charlotte. So I like I like Charlotte in that one, despite the losses that they have from their roster from last year. Talked a little bit about UTSA Minnesota I'm staying away from that one. Talked a little bit about the Gonzaga and Yale game. We're going to be staying the hell away from that one too. I mean, this Gonzaga team is so sketchy with how many guys they lost from last year, the kind of lack of guys that they brought in, plus the fact that one of their key transfers is out. I mean, Gonzaga minus 12.5 against Yale feels so sketch. Because it is. So staying away from that one. And then we had a question on Samford and VCU, which is what we're talking about right now. So Samford and VCU. Samford, again, they run a lot of full court press. They struggle against teams that can shoot the three. I was sketched about taking Purdue against them in their first game because Purdue historically struggles shooting the three. They shot the hell out of the three. They covered against Samford by a million. VCU hosting Samford today. I don't know if VCU can really do the same. They struggled in their first game. They actually lost outright, I think, by double digits against McNeese State. Bringing in a new coach, it's definitely going to be a different system than what VCU normally runs. My slight lean here was the under, but this is another game where I just don't really have any idea. I'm really honestly staying away from this Samford team early on. They're a team that I like to bet on in a lot of spots. But just that these first two opponents, Purdue and VCU, so many question marks about the 3-point shot, which is like the only thing that matters in a game against Samford, that I'm staying away. That's my thought there. I see we got Bully says Charlotte Liberty over. Looks like we got a 12-11 Central Connecticut. 6 minutes in, we'll take that. W. All right. So let me take a minute and talk about some of the bigger games on the slate. Also, Dilberto coming in with the $2 super chat. Appreciate that. How's it going, Dilberto? I feel like we haven't talked in a minute. Hope all's well. Wright State and Colorado State. Says Wright State outright and the over. I completely agree. I think that the over is a good look. I mean, I'm a little bit concerned about the altitude, but I love the fact that Tanner Holden is back in Wright State. I mean, obviously he struggled a lot at Ohio State last year, but he averaged 20 points a game at Wright State 2 years ago. Colorado State loses a bunch of dudes. I think Wright State is the look, and I think that the over is the look. So yeah, I completely agree. And in fact, since we're talking about it now, let me go ahead and check the line. So the total is so high. And no, Holden's waiver was approved on Forrest Gump. I know for a fact his waiver was approved. Which is like super important with these guys. So yeah, we're looking at like 10.5 on the spread. Colorado State, of course, favored. Total at 157 to 158, depending on where you look. Yeah, give me Wright State plus the points. Not 100% sure that I'm going to bet this one yet, so we'll call it a lean. The way that we're doing this with the little graphic up on the screen is just everything that I'm staying away from, ignoring it, not putting it up on the screen. Everything that I kind of like is either going up as an official bet, which will say bet, or a lean, in which case I need a little bit more convincing. A couple of the leans will turn into bets. Some of them won't. We'll see. So give me Wright State plus 10.5. And we'll call this one a lean because I'm not 100% sure that I'm betting it, but this was definitely the direction I was leaning. Also, again, everyone, I can't thank all the follows, but appreciate everyone for dropping a follow. And if you are new to the stream, be sure to drop a follow. We're doing college basketball content pretty much every day for the entire season. And in fact, we have another stream coming up later today. So we've got Ben is going to be live at 10 o'clock Eastern, going through an early look at lines tomorrow. So be sure to drop a follow. Be sure to tune in for that. All right. So let's talk about some of the bigger games today. So there's two that I want to touch on in particular to start us off. Not the biggest games today, but the two that fit this little system that people like. And the system is when you have a team on the road that is a ranked team taking on an unranked team at home, but the home team is favored. The system says that betting on the home team is a pretty good look. So there's 2 games going on that fit this system today. They are Texas A&M, the ranked team on the road at Ohio State, and we've got Tennessee, ranked team on the road at Wisconsin. My thoughts on both of these games are that I kind of like the road team despite the system. Tennessee is definitely my preferred bet between the two. I got torched fading Wisconsin in their first game. Their offense looked great, although against a pretty bad Arkansas State team. I thought Arkansas State was gonna come out and play pretty well with some new talent. They did not. They were awful. That was a bad bet by me. But this Tennessee team is just so good. Wisconsin scored at will against a bad defense. I think it's going to be a lot tougher for them against Tennessee, and I think Tennessee can score. So I definitely lean with Tennessee in that one. Looks like the lines right now are sitting at Tennessee -2 on DraftKings, 2.5 everywhere else. Over/under sitting at 132.5. I definitely lean with Tennessee in that one. Not sure that I'm going to be betting it. And then as far as the Ohio State Texas A&M game goes, definitely a little bit sketchier. I don't trust Ohio State's ability to score the ball at all. They definitely had a pretty rough first game. Let me bring up the box score for that real quick. Pretty rough first game. Yeah, they beat Oakland by 6. Definitely not a good look out of them. I kind of actually like the under as my lean in the Texas A&M Ohio State game. So I'll put at least. Hey, you know what? Fuck it. I'll put both of those up as little leans here. So we'll go Tamu, OSU under 139.5 as a lean, and Tennessee -2 as a lean. I think those are my preferred bets in those 2 games. Nothing that would be like I'm not running to the book to place either of them, but definitely where I would go in those games if I had to. Pick Six says, yeah, I know Ohio State fan says they're rough on the court this year. Scratch says, if you want to play Wisconsin, play their first half ML. But yeah, that's my thoughts on those games. Another big game today, I guess obvious game of the day, which we should touch on, is Duke and Arizona. Duke and Arizona. So Duke at home in this game, coming into the season ranked number 2 in the AP poll. Arizona coming in ranked at number 12. I don't love saying this, but I kind of like Duke to cover in this spot. They just seem like a slightly better version of Arizona. I mean, Filipowski is the best player on the court. I mean, him and Ballo are a little bit of a strange matchup inside. I mean, Filipowski much more of a stretch player, whereas Ballo much more of a bang inside type of player. Arizona just they lost a lot from last year's team. I mean, Duke lost a couple freshmen from last year to the NBA draft, but return a lot, bring in an amazing looking recruiting class. Arizona lost a lot more impactful players. Tubelis being gone, I think, is absolutely massive for this team, and they're going to be relying a little bit more heavily on some freshmen who aren't quite as good as Duke's freshmen. There is a definite win condition for Arizona in this game, which is just the depth that they have big-wise, especially some of the freshmen really going and balling out. But I think Duke is the move here, if I'm being completely honest. Another potential X factor is Caleb Love in this game. So he transferred from UNC out to Arizona. I'm not the biggest Caleb Love fan, if I'm being completely honest. He's obviously had his moments in North Carolina's NCAA tournament run a couple of years ago, but a little bit too much hero ball for my liking from Caleb Love, and against a Duke team that is just going to be so efficient offensively. All of these possessions count. So actually, it feels weird to say, but I almost feel like Caleb Love has a lot of like downside potential, like Duke X Factor Caleb Love today. So definitely lean Arizona, or no, I definitely lean Duke. In that one. And let's shrink this a little bit. Bam. Run Force Gump agrees. I see Arclaws is on the is on Arizona. Caleb Love from close to where you're at. Oh yeah, no, he's a dog. But he can be sometimes like a pit bull out there, and sometimes he can be a little like Pomeranian, who's just out there being annoying and nothing else. All right. So JR said, W First Time Chat says, can you give insight on the Memphis and Missouri game? This game is fucked. Memphis and Missouri, if we're being completely honest. Also, Heisenberg, I see your redemption. I'll get to that in a second. I'll do that one next. Memphis and Missouri. Memphis, their whole team is new. Their like entire team is just completely new. But I really like the talent that Memphis brought in. They brought in Javon Quitterly from Alabama. They brought in Caleb Mills from Florida State. Both of those guys, absolute dogs. Guards with power conference experience who go out and score the ball. Bring in Jordan Brown from Louisiana. I don't think he might have won Sun Belt Player of the Year last year. But just a phenomenal front court player. A bunch of other dudes. I mean, David Jones played 25 minutes at St. John's. Jonathan Pierre, big JUCO or D2 transfer. They bring in Jaquan Walton from Wichita State. Played 32 minutes, averaged 12 points a game for them, or 14 points a game for them last year. Just so many good transfers on this Memphis team. Of course, with that comes massive question marks about the chemistry. Not that Penny Hardaway needs any chemistry concerns, because it just feels like this Memphis team is always in turmoil under Hardaway's watch. But the talent is there for sure. Missouri, second year under Dennis Gates for them. They were great last year, far exceeded my expectations. I mean, Dennis Gates, for sure, a great coach. His Cleveland State teams were great. He was great at Missouri last year. Arclass says that they're fraudulent. Also, Penny Hardaway isn't coaching tonight. Honestly, that might be better for Missouri, if we're being completely honest. Or for Memphis, he can recruit. I don't know if he's like the most effective game manager of all time. So Missouri also loses a ton of dudes from last year's team. Kobe Brown is gone. Demoy Hod is gone. DeAndre Golston is gone. Isaiah Mosley is gone. Trey Gamillion is gone. So they're also relying on a lot of transfers. I don't think that their transfers are anywhere near as good as the ones that Memphis brought in. I mean, they bring in John Tanji from Colorado State, who is a great player. They bring in Connor Vanover from Oral Roberts, who is a player that I absolutely detest. I think Connor Vanover, the Connor Vanover experiment at Arkansas in the SEC didn't work a couple of years ago. He was fine at Oral Roberts last year. I don't think it's going to work in the SEC this time around either. Obviously he's like 7'5", but not a Connor Vanover fan. And then like Caleb Grill from Iowa State can like shoot, but what else can he do? Give me Memphis here. Give me Memphis for sure. Walmart, Wemby, I like that nickname. Also, Vanover's not playing. That's fine. Honestly, that might help Memphis. Or might help Missouri. But the lean for me there is definitely Memphis. And give me Memphis ML in this spot. So let me check up-to-date prices. We're looking at... Also, you said you like the over. The total's like 160. That's wild. It's so high. Money line sitting at plus 120 on MGM and PointsBet. So we'll take that as the number. Let's go like this. This is a strong lean. I'm like almost definitely going to end up betting this. Look at like a 90 to 80 kind of game. Yeah, for sure. I just think that Memphis ultimately has a lot more talent here They sacrifice a little bit of roster turnover for some extra talent. I think that wins out here. So Heisenberg had a channel part redemption on the team total under for Texas A&M Commerce. So Commerce playing at Kentucky today. Absolute gauntlet of a schedule to start out the season for Texas A&M Commerce. They played at Texas A&M. They played at Texas Tech. Now playing at Kentucky. Tough schedule. They've scored exactly 46 points in both of their games. I know we had somebody in here on the Texas A&M Commerce team total under in the chat yesterday. I think Javon was also on that, which you always like to see. Yeah, I mean they can't score the ball. The only question for me here is, how do I want to bet this game? Do we want to bet against Commerce by taking an under or a team total under? Do we want to bet against Commerce by taking a spread here? Just taking Kentucky? So the way that I want to do that is just do a little comparison between the teams. So the first two games that they played, again, 46 points a pop on the road at Texas A&M, at Texas Tech. Those are two of the slowest teams in the country. Those are two of the best defensive teams in the country. Commerce lost those games by 27 and 32. Against a Kentucky team that is going to be playing a lot faster, I would much rather take Kentucky to cover the spread here. I think if the two slower defensive teams are putting up totals in the 70s are covering 27, give me the faster team, give me more possessions, more points to separate the teams. I love Kentucky today. And so active lines, it's looking like we've got Kentucky minus 29 now, 28.5 on MGM. Yeah, it's definitely moved. Yeah, it was open at 25.5, up to 20, 28.5, 29. I think that's fine. This one feels like a 35, 40 point win. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and say, we'll call it minus 28.5. This is a bet for me. George, talk about UML, and there's another redemption. I don't have a whole lot on this UMass Lowell game. They lost. Their front court is great. They bring back their bigs. They lose their top scoring guards. So there's a lot of question marks for me in that case. Dartmouth can shoot the three. I just need to see UML play a couple of games. Definitely one of my favorite wagons from last year. Love Koulibaly. Hesitant to bet them here, especially against the Dartmouth team with a lot of scoring options. So we had a redemption from Twansky. It says Louisville and Chattanooga. So let's take a look at that one. So Louisville, obviously, big time struggles. Last year, big time struggles in their first game against UMBC. They did end up pulling out the win in that one. Never sniffed a cover. And I think it's going to be another rough season out of Louisville here. Also, if I'm missing any redemptions, let me know. There's a lot of people in here from the raid. I am more liable to miss stuff than usual. So I apologize for that. Just yell at me. Or yeah, Heisenberg, if you can make a list of things that I need to talk about, I will do that. My apologies. Chattanooga and Louisville. So Chattanooga can score the ball. They've got a lot of guys who can shoot. They are a team that really struggles defensively. I like the over in this game. Louisville's going to go out. They're going to run up and down the court. I mean, the game against UMBC finished basically 90-90. Exact score was 94-93. I mean, it's not going to be that high. But they're going to move up and down the court. Chattanooga's going to move up and down the court, shoot the ball, not defend very well. I think it's going to look a lot like that UMBC game from Louisville. So give me the over 150.5. And that is a lean. Justice likes Louisville spread. I can't bet on Louisville. They're just so bad. They're so bad. Favorite play so far of what's up here. I don't know, but my favorite play today is Boston College. And in fact, let me put that up on the thing. BC -9 as a bet. That's the play that I pitched on the surgical stream. Was BC minus dash. Yeah, everybody be sure to go lock in BC minus dash. No, BC -9. G Unit had Chattanooga favored on his sheet. Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm betting a side there, it's Chattanooga. But I like the over. And yeah, UML staying away from that one. What do we got next? Also, can we get a score update on Central Connecticut? Also, I need to go log into the book real quick. Oh, Central Connecticut getting blown out now. GG's. All right. 3:30 left in the first half. They were up, and then they went ice cold. All right. Although, plenty of time left. That might have been a donation. That's okay. Okay, so next redemptions to talk about from Gavin, Maryland, and Davidson. Okay, Maryland and Davidson. So both of these teams were pretty awful. I mean, I guess not awful, but underwhelming for sure in their debuts. Maryland played against Mount St. Mary's and won by 15. Davidson played like a D2 school and won by 23. Neither of them like all that great. Davidson lost some pretty good players in the offseason, but they have a lot of guys coming back too. And I actually kind of trust Davidson here as a team with experience. Let me bring up their almanac page real quick. So yeah, Davidson from last year, they lost Foster Lawyer and Sam Menenga and Desmond Watson. That's like three of their starters, but they bring back some other good pieces. I mean, Grant Huffman is back, Kuchera is back, Skogman is back, Reed Bailey is back. They bring in a transfer from Villanova who played 10 minutes a game there last year as a freshman, who should be a pretty big impact addition here. Bring in a Stanford transfer who didn't play a ton. I'm not super impressed with the way that this Maryland roster looks, if I'm being completely honest. They lost a bunch of dudes from last year. Hakeem Hart is gone. Donald Carey's gone. Guys that they bring back are good. I mean, Jameer Young is a good combo guard, but not like a great shooter. Dante Scott is a fine big. Julian Reese is fine. There's just like not like a. I mean, I guess Jameer Young is kind of a bucket, but it's. I mean, he's not like a sharpshooter. It's twos. It's not threes. I give me Davidson here. It's a neutral site game. We're looking at double digits for Davidson. I think that's definitely my lean. Yeah, we can get 11.5 on DraftKings, on PointsBet, on MGM. I definitely lean Davidson. This is a strong lean for me. I have a feeling on the total, not really. Davidson is a team that I really don't like betting totals on because they play slow, but they're so good at shooting the three. I like betting totals that are tempo driven as far as the handicap goes, as opposed to efficiency driven for the most part. And Davidson totals are very, very, very efficiency dependent and not tempo dependent. So I don't like betting on them very much. All right, and I think we had another redemption coming in from Sam. Talk about the Michigan game. Yeah, Michigan game is kind of interesting. So Michigan is hosting Youngstown State, coming off a nice cover, honestly, from Michigan against a pretty good UNC Asheville team in their debut. A I guess a lot of sharps were on Asheville in that game. I had Asheville up as a lean in that game. But Michigan, 99-74 win. They look good. They look good. So Youngstown State, very, very good mid-major team last year. They lose a lot of their guys. So a lot of again roster turnover for Youngstown State. They bring in some talented players too. Let me pull up their page on the Almanac so I can give you some names. Yeah, Dwayne Cohill and Malik Green, their 2 starting guards, are both gone. Adrian Nelson, Brian McBride, 2 like wings / inside players, also both gone. But they bring in some pretty good looking transfers. I mean, DJ Burns coming in from Murray State, going to be starting at the 5 for them. Is a great player. They bring in Brett Thompson from Tennessee Tech, who scored 13 points a game for them last year, 42% 3-point shooter. They bring in Ziggy Reed from Merrimack, another kind of just athletic wing. So some good players coming in for sure. Plus returning a dude who missed like the entire season last year. So I think that this Youngstown State team can still score. I don't think they're going to be as good as last year. I think that the 20-ish point spread that we're seeing feels about right. I don't want to make a lean on the side, but I definitely lean the over in this game. It's sitting at 153.5, but I was a little bit concerned about Michigan's scoring ability. But they put up 99 in their first game. Are they going to put up 99 again here? Probably not. But Youngstown State, I think, is still much more potent offensively than defensively. So give me YSU UM over 153.5. I'm gonna call this a bing. Yeah, I like everything that I saw in regards to the over from this game. All right, so are we all caught up on redemptions? Jay Smitty, I see you screaming about the Wake Forest game. I will get there when I get there. If you want me to jump around, you can do the channel port redemption for jump into a game. Otherwise, I would don't spam. I will get to stuff when I get to stuff. All right, so there we go. Jay Smitty redeeming Wake Forest. Okay, W. And then I see Run Forest also with a redemption. I'll get to that next. Let's see. So Wake Forest. They are on the road at Georgia. So Georgia lost to Oregon in their debut. I was looking at that Oregon game. I didn't end up betting it, but my note was why is this spread so short? This Georgia team doesn't look all that great. I'm kind of getting the same vibes again today. I really like the makeup of this Wake Forest team. Give me Wake Forest on the ML as a dog. That's just all I got here. I don't quite get why they're dogs. I mean, I know if you look at Ken Palm, Georgia's ranked higher, but I just think Wake Forest will win in a shootout if it's a shootout, and if it's not a shootout, they'll still just out efficiency Georgia. I think we're getting a little bit of SEC bias on this number. Give me plus 110. Wake Forest ML. And definitely something that I'm considering betting on the stronger end of leans. Okay, Run Forrest Gump with the redemption on Butler. So Butler is a team that I bet on. In their first game, they came out and demolished an Eastern Michigan team that lost their best players and didn't really bring a whole lot in. You know what other team lost a lot of their best players and didn't bring a whole lot in? SEMO, Butler's opponent today. I love Butler in this spot. I'm a big fan of the makeup of this team. That's why I bet them, or one of the reasons why I bet them to cover like a 20-ish point spread against Eastern Michigan, and I have no qualms about doing it again. Love Butler here. Yeah, SEMO lost all their top scorers. They have no big men. Give me Butler all day. Butler all day. And I'm going to be on this for sure. And let me double check what the current line is. Looking at a Butler minus 19.5. Yeah, that's a bet for me for sure. All right, we've got next up Clemson game against UAB. I've got nothing here. I had the complete wrong read on Clemson in their first game against Winthrop. I took Winthrop plus the points. It was like possible, but never really looking likely. UAB is definitely a good basketball team, but they lose a lot of dudes from last year. I need to see a little bit more from them before I really get a grip on what they're doing. So this is a fade game for me. Fade game for me for sure. I just don't know what we're gonna get out of UAB. Lot of talent. I mean, they bring in some really good mid-major scorers. Like Daniel Ortiz is a dude that I really liked for the last couple of years at North Alabama. A lot of mystery pieces beyond that. Got some guys on Clemson. UAB missing Coleman. That's a good point. All right. So let me go back to the top of my list and just rapid fire go through some games, see if we hit some more leans, some more bets, and then we'll get back into some more some other things. Okay, so Kennesaw State and Florida State, staying the hell away from that game. I know Kennesaw lost a lot. They lost a lot to South Florida specifically. That's why we bet South Florida yesterday. They were a wagon. I think they're going to be a wagon early on again. But they do have some guys back. They struggled last year in the paint against Florida, which was like their one power conference opponent. Castleton had a career high in points against them. And Florida State definitely has bigs. Kennesaw State did cover that game against Florida pretty handily, though. So I don't know what we're going to get here. And Florida State, as a team, is a massive enigma. And no, George, Jelly Walker is not on UAB this year. So there's that. Talk about UML Dartmouth, Charleston, and Duquesne. I think we had some people talking about that one earlier. I don't want to touch this game with the 10-foot pole. I bet on both of these teams on Monday. I lost my bet both times. I don't want to touch this game. Lemoyne and Villanova. Lemoyne looked awful. They looked so bad against Georgetown. Taking on Villanova today. I mean, obviously Villanova's going to throttle them. The question is, does Villanova play fast enough to cover a 36-point spread? I mean, if this game feels like a game that's going to be a 30-point game with 10 minutes left, and you're going to be feeling great, and then it's going to be a tie game down the stretch. So, I mean, I would have to, like, if I had a free bet that I could only place on this game, it would be Villanova to cover, but I ain't touching it. Arclaw says Butler first half -9. Give me the full game. I don't want to get cute with the first half. Just give me the full game. Youngstown State and Michigan, we talked about that. Jacksonville and Xavier. This Xavier team looks weird this year. They lost a ton of dudes to the portal and to the NBA. And Fremantle and Jerome Hunter, both out maybe for the entire year with some injuries. That being said, they definitely have some good scoring options, just like depth concerns. Taking on a Jacksonville team that is just a slow, grindy team. They have front court pieces that are good at the mid-major level, probably going to struggle against a bigger team like Xavier. And massive question marks for me about how Jacksonville scores. So I definitely like Xavier here, but I think I want to watch a little bit more Xavier before actually endorsing them on a bigger spread. Charleston.
Welcome to the Cowboy Show.
Wapwise dictatorship.
Also, we got Richie coming in with the 6-month Prime sub. Bang! Appreciate that, Richie. Thank you. Let's see. So Charleston. No, I'm staying the hell away from Charleston. Want nothing to do with that game. Gio says, "Do you like Kansas first half?" I love Kansas today. I don't want to deal with first half team total blah blah blah. Just give me the Jayhawks. Let me find this game on my list. Yeah, this is another kind of massive spread game. But Manhattan bringing in a new head coach. They return basically nobody from last year. Second year in a row also that there's just massive roster turnover, new head coach. They actually beat Bryant in their first game, which is surprising because Bryant's a pretty decent mid-major team. That being said, I mean the Manhattan team is just not good enough to hang with Kansas. So give me Kansas. Let me check the current spread. 36, yeah. Kansas minus 36 is and you know what? Actually, no. I'm gonna end up on this. We'll call it a bet. I'm not gonna not bet Kansas here. Okay. Good question from Jacob. How bad is Valpo to only be laying 3 to IUPUI? And the answer to that question is very bad. Valpo looks very, very, very bad. They were a bad team last year. They won 11 games. They lose Ben Kreike. They lose Kobe King, Quentin Green. That's their top 3 scorers. Their best players for sure. Bring back a couple dudes who played they bring back a guy who played 15 minutes a game and averaged 1.8 points. They bring back a guy who averaged 13 minutes a game, averaged 1.9 points, and they bring back a guy who played 16 minutes a game and averaged 4 points. That's their returners. Did they bring in any big transfers? Let's take a look. Jackson Edwards played 2.5 minutes last year at Powerhouse, Murray State. Ola Ajiboye played 19 minutes a game at Central Michigan, which is reasonable. And then it's just freshmen and D2 JUCO transfers. This Valpo team looks pretty bad. So if I'm being completely honest, I actually kind of like IUPUI in this spot. I respect my coin, so I'm not going to involve it on IUPUI. But definitely lean IUPUI, which pains me in my core. I'm hurting. I'm questioning my sanity, but I think that IUPUI ML is the move in that game. Also, what's up, Logan? Says first time viewer here. Thank you for this. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate having you here. Thank you for dropping a follow a couple minutes ago. Thanks for the chat. Yeah, we've been doing this for a couple of years at this point. The plan is to be doing college basketball content like this basically every game for the entire season. So thanks for sticking around. Yeah, just gonna be doing a lot of college basketball content and hopefully making some money. Oh yeah, and it is IUPU. That is correct. Or I think it's just IUP now. Or no, isn't it next year that it's IUPUI and not IUPUI? Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to put that up as a lean, though. Because, again, I respect my coin. Gavin with the channel point redemption to talk about Oregon and Montana. Gross game. Oregon looked pretty good against Georgia. They covered that game. Game went over. Scored a lot of points. Montana, I believe has a lot of roster turnover from last year. This was a game I didn't really get a good read on when I was looking at it. Just don't know what to expect out of Montana. I mean, they lose their best player or one of their best players from last year. Bring back some dudes. These mid-major games where you have like good but not great mid-major teams taking on like good but not great power conference teams, and the total's like 15, 16, 17, 18. It's like, fuck if I know, man. Those always seem right. I mean, I guess maybe blindly lean the underdog in those spots. But, I mean, no conviction other than just coin flip, give me the points. Could be a gross under spot. I don't know enough about this game to take the under, though. Would be a gross under, though. That is for sure. NFL Material says, I'm late. What's the pod? POD, give me Mississippi Valley State ML. No, not really. The play that I pitched on the surgical stream is Boston College -9. I'm not going to 100% call that the POD yet. But, I mean, obviously, since that's what I took to the surgical stream, that's the early candidate. All right, going back to my list, Penn State and Penn and St. Joe's. I kind of like the look of this St. Joseph's team this year. They haven't been good in a minute, but they've got dudes who are buckets. There is just no question about that. 6.5 point favorites against inner city rivals Penn. I see Spencer leans the over. It's either St. Joe's or it's the over. One of those two. Because Penn also has dudes who can shoot the ball. I just kind of think that we're getting a situation where we have two teams that are like relatively similar, but St. Joe's is just like the clearly better team. So in that case, just give me the better team. Eric Reynolds is an absolute stud. I like St. Joe's front court pieces a lot more than I like Penn's pieces. I'll put both of them up as leans here. I'm probably going to end up betting something. Don't make BC POD, can't bet them in Massachusetts. GG's on that. Spencer leans Penn. So I guess we're on opposite sides there. Liberty up 14-8. Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. I forgot to actually bet Charlotte. I was too busy talking. We'll see if we can hop on them live. Plus 380 on the ML now. 16-8. We'll see. Is Jelly Walker on another team? That's a good question. He is in the G League. Thoughts on the over in the Duke game? I have no idea. I definitely lean Arizona in that one. Or no, sorry, definitely lean Duke, not Arizona. But no thoughts on the total. All right. So Morehead State and Purdue. My notes start out. I quote. Going full Mark Twain here. Purdue will fuck on them. Give me Purdue here. So Morehead State has no size. Their best player's out for the year, who's the reigning OVC player of the year. So Zach Edey, the rest of the bigs are just going to absolutely feast inside. There's just no size. Purdue won't shoot the three like they did against Samford, but even if they hit like 30% from three, they're just going to absolutely throttle Morehead State. So we've got, Hasbrook saying 29.5 right now. Fairleigh Dickinson also had no size. That's true, but Fairleigh Dickinson had guys who could shoot the ball and who could like get buckets. I don't think Morehead has that. I don't think, like, how does Morehead State score the ball? This is a team that like lost a ton of dudes from last year. They bring back like what? And no, you're completely right. It's a super valid point. Because I mean, who has Purdue lost to in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years? I mean, they lost to the smallest team in the country in Fairleigh Dickinson, and they lost to a St. Peter's team that was like a great defensive team, but also had like no size. So no size isn't an argument in and of itself to take a team against Purdue, but both of those losses that Purdue had were just because they couldn't shoot the three. I was very happy to see a good 3-point shooting game from Purdue. So give me Purdue. Let's see. Boom, boom. And that'll be on my card. Kansas first half. Just give me, unless there's like a great reason to take first half, give me the full game. I'll take 40 minutes of talent edge over 20 minutes of talent edge. Okay. So I see we got a couple comments. I'll get them when the ad break is done. Central Florida and Miami, I've got nothing. Talked about A&M and Ohio State a little bit. A&M Commerce and Kentucky, we've talked about that one. Boston and Rutgers. So Boston, 4 best players from last year are all gone. Bring in some D2 transfers and some freshmen. Boston, I think, is going to be a pretty ugly team this year. I just can't trust Rutgers to cover 26.5 after losing outright in their first game. As just a team that's slow and defensive oriented. So maybe the under in Boston and Rutgers, but I'm going to be staying away. They eat first half, then stop trying. Like, I guess. Just give me the full game. I don't want to get cute. Chattanooga and Louisville. Talk about this one. Got the over up as a lean. SC Upstate and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt lost outright to Presbyterian in their first game of the season. They shot horribly. This SC Upstate team is not great, and Presbyterian is at least like an athletic team defensively. So I feel like maybe Vandy improves a bit in game 2. It could be the under, definite gross under for Gavin here. But I just don't want to touch it. And Gavin, were you the guy who was on the Vandy Presby under? I know somebody had that. Next game, BC and Citadel. Obviously, I'm on Boston College minus the points. Troy and Oregon State. This is kind of interesting one. So Oregon State was bad last year, but they return basically their whole team, and they were a young team. So room for improvement for Oregon State. I don't know if this is the right spot to bet on it. On that improvement happening, Troy brings back a couple good guards, don't really bring back anything else. So, I mean, definitely leaning Oregon State to cover, but sketchy game for sure. Austin P and George Mason. I have a bet in this game. So, notes say Austin P brings in a new coach and an entire new roster. Coach comes in from Northwestern State. Those of you who have been friends of the program for a couple of years at this point know that I absolutely love to bet Northwestern State overs. Love me some Northwestern State overs. So 5 players from that Northwestern State team are in Austin P now, including one of the most interesting players in college basketball, Hansel Emmanuel, who has one arm, which is wild. Mason also has a new coach. Yeah, Kim English is gone. Roster looks pretty good. Give me the over. 136.5. I'm just willing to bet on that Northwestern State tempo kicking in and taking the over here. And let me double check that we're on a good number here. Whoa, actually, it's been bet down. Open at 137 down to 135.5. So we'll call it 135.5. All right. Princeton and Hofstra. Going to be staying away from this one. I mean, Princeton, obviously, with the upset over Rutgers in their first game. Just two really, really good mid-major teams staying away. Talked about Maryland and Davidson a little bit. I like Davidson a lot to cover. Detroit and Cincinnati. First thing I want to point out about this game, there is a player on Cincinnati whose first name is Jizzle. His name is Jizzle James. He is the son of NFL great Edgerrin James. But like, Jizzle, Jizzle. Are we being for real? Come on, Jizzle James. I don't know how much he's going to play. He's a freshman. Just besides the point, I had to point it out. So they're taking on Detroit. So Detroit, obviously, Antoine Harris is gone from that team. He was their heart and their soul, coach's son, one of the top all-time, I think number 2 all-time scorer in college basketball. He's gone. A couple other players are gone. This looks like a team without a proper win condition. They played Toledo in their first game. They lost by 34. They turned the ball over a fuck ton, which is not surprising. And I honestly think that Detroit was lucky to keep it that close. Their guards shot 10 of 14 from 2. They couldn't hit a 3 to save their lives. 10 of 14 from 2. Against a Cincinnati team with what's his face? Russian dude. Lukin? Inside? That's not a recipe for success here. There's definitely questions about whether or not Cincinnati can score the ball. So that's like my one concern here. But this Detroit team is bad. They are bad. So we're looking at a line right now of 24. If we were at like 20, I would be all over this. I'm probably still going to fire it up. We'll confirm on my Twitter later on when I post the full card. But for now, it's going to be Cincy minus 24 is a strong lean. And yeah, Detroit, their whole identity is gone without Antoine Davis. I just think they're going to turn the ball over a million times. And Cincy will find a way. All right. Next game, Abilene Christian and NC State. So Abilene Christian beat Oklahoma State in their first game. They're a great defensive team. Every single year, they're like one of the best teams at forcing turnovers. They were like, I think, 11th in turnover rate defensively last year after being first, and second the 3 years before that. No like big time go-to scorer, but a lot of guys who can get a bucket here, get a bucket there. NC State is like okay. Their front court is good. They've got like what's his face? DJ Burns back there. They brought in some interesting guards in like DJ Horn from Arizona State, but there's like not a whole lot of efficiency, I think, in NC State's scoring options. They only beat the Citadel by, I think, 13 in that first game that they played. So I am kind of thinking about an under in this spot. Spencer says AC was feisty, but I love NC State's backcourt. You see, I don't love NC State's backcourt. Casey Morsel is good, but like players like DJ Horn, I don't know. Just like ball heavy guards, don't pass it a lot, just take and miss a lot of twos. Like I'm out on that, especially against like a solid defensive team. So we're looking at Abilene Christian as 10.5 point dogs. Total sitting at 147.5, 148. Actually been bet up a little bit, which is maybe concerning if we're taking the under. But that's definitely where I have to lean, is the under. I don't think NC State's going to be super efficient scoring. I think Abilene Christian's going to play good defense, slow it down, and they're also not going to go out and try and push the pace offensively. So it's one of those two. It's either the under or Abilene Christian to cover. But I think the total is just so high for a team that's so good defensively. ACU pressures their opponent fouling. That's actually an excellent point. How did in our massive one game sample size, how well did NC State shoot the free throws? Make a lay? No, I'm not making a lay. I'm trying to stick to my guns, making sure that all of the bets that I place, I'm super confident in. Love the reads on them. No red flags. And then just sticking to straight bets. That's my recipe for success in college basketball this year. So NC State in their one game shot 4 of 7 from the free throw line. Can't make anything out of that. Have we gone over Harvard and Rice? No, not yet. But yeah, give me the under. As a lean. Not 100% positive I'm going to fire it up, but definitely thinking about it. Marshall and Radford. I completely skipped this game on accident. GG's. Yeah, just round robin every bet, every lean. Sure, what could go wrong? Absolutely nothing, honestly. Also, I see Fluffy Bear says, I might nuke Duke spread. About to move the line with the bomb. Hey, I like Duke today. Okay, next up, NC-A&T against UNC Greensboro. NC-A&T, obviously team that we bet against on Monday. They played Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh destroyed them, doubled them up, clean 100-50 final score. Or I guess it was 100-52, so not quite the clean double up. But they're bad. They're awful. One of the worst teams in college basketball for sure. Greensboro hasn't played yet. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. They lose 4 starters off of their team from last year, but return some good players. Front court looks good. Their defense is very good. Yeah, and Spencer, I completely agree. It's just a lot of points. 21.5. So I'm going to, I guess, make the comparison to the Towson and Coppin State game. I was like a little bit scared of laying so many points with Towson when it was at like 13.5, and then it jumped all the way up to like 18 or 19 by the time it closed. And then Towson ended up winning that game by how many points? By a score of 70-49, 21 points. This is another one where it's like, damn, that's a lot of points. But I feel like I kind of have to do it in a sense. Like Greensboro is always just such a good mid-major team. Just supposed to have the spot to pick to bet also. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put them up as a lean. I need to do a little bit more research and see whether or not it's like actually worth firing up. I mean, I guess making the comparison between them and Towson, I mean, they're definitely a better team than Towson. But it's also like a couple more points. So Seems kind of fair. I just don't think that A&T can score. I mean, that's the issue. Could also be the under. What are we looking at total-wise? 136? 136 and a half? And yeah, they're definitely a team that's better defensively with propensity to play slow. North Carolina A&T, definitely on the faster end of things. Did you hear an under? You heard an under lean? Yeah. That might be the move. I think though I'd just rather take Greensboro. Because like Pitt scored 100 on them. And Pitt is not a particularly good offensive team. Have we talked about Villanova yet? Yeah, touched on Nova a little bit earlier. The synopsis on Villanova is Lemoyne is awful. 36 points is a lot, though. And with the way that Nova plays, a.k.a. very slow, I'm just worried about Villanova getting up by 25, 30 points midway through the second half, and then just not being able to push it from there. That's my worry there. I mean, if you're betting a side in that game, it's got to be Nova, but nothing. What's safer, Purdue minus 28 or Tennessee? No. I mean, they're both leans. I would probably bet Purdue before I bet Tennessee. And Logan, yeah, I have nothing on UAB and Clemson. Okay. Wake Forest and Georgia, we've talked about that one. Sacred Heart, Iona, I've got nothing. We've talked about Samford and VCU. Belmont and Furman is a very interesting game. I think that this line is a little bad, if I'm being completely honest. I think that Belmont is riding on a lot of name recognition with this line sitting where it's at. They've obviously been one of the best mid-major teams for several years in a row, but they've been losing some guys. Belmont has definitely been losing some guys. Ben Shepherd is gone, Drew Freiberg is gone, Evan Bronze is gone. So now this team doesn't really have like that dominant mid-major level big like they've had the last few years, and they also don't have like a dominant go-to guard, a go-to scorer, like they've had the last couple of years. They bring in like a D2 guy who was a pretty big scorer at D2. But yeah, I don't know if this Belmont team is like as good as the name recognition that Belmont has deserved over the last couple of years. Furman also looks really damn good. They lose two of their best players from last year, in Mike Bothwell and Slauson. But they return everybody else. Furman lost a ton. They lost two very important players. Everybody else is back. And let's double check this. So Furman loses. Yeah, Mike Bothwell and Jalen Slauson are both gone. Their other like top 7 rotation pieces are all back. Plus, they bring in a pretty interesting guy from JUCO, PJ Smith, who shot 44.8% from 3 in JUCO last year. JUCO All-American. I think played a pretty big role in their first game. So, yeah, I mean, this Furman team is, again, they lose their 2 best players from last year. But a lot of other really, really, really good players are back. Everybody can shoot. They have some size, especially relative to a team like Belmont. I think Furman minus 5.5 is a really, really, really good look here. Especially this lean over total is super high. Yeah, I also said the over is worth a look, but it's in like the mid to high 150s if I'm not mistaken. 160? Yeah, I can't bet over 160 here, but I do like Furman to cover the spread. Oh, I guess we're actually up to 6. No, I took out 6 on points bet. Yeah. Also, TJ says, just wanted to say nobody else going in depth on the whole slate as Nick. Keep up the great work. Thank you, TJ. And thank you everybody for being here. I mean, I enjoy doing this. I make money forcing myself to go into every game kind of in depth like this to provide, hopefully, good, actionable content for everybody. But obviously, if nobody was showing up, I wouldn't be doing this. So shout out to everybody who was here. I mean, obviously, we got the big raid from Book It earlier, but we still got 100 people here. So everybody give yourselves a round of applause. Couldn't do it without you. Best chat on Twitch, hands down. Duke or Arizona? I think Duke. Yeah, Duke is in there. Obviously, the leans list is like a paragraph right now. But yeah, Duke is in there. Rai says, Purdue, Kentucky, Marquette, blowouts tonight. Yes, agree across the board. I have Purdue and Kentucky both in the lean list, again, in the paragraph. Haven't talked about Marquette yet, but I do like the look on Marquette tonight as well. Okay, so Monmouth and West Virginia. I'm out. Fuck WVU. Don't want anything to do with that game. Virginia and Florida. So UVA... They look a little rough potentially this year. They have transfers from St. Thomas and Merrimack both starting for them. I don't think this UVA team is going to be quite as good as UVA teams of years past. Also, fuck you, Russell. Washington Capitals. I mean, you're not wrong right now. They are a shit org, but they'll be better. They'll get there. Florida also turns over a lot of their roster, but yeah, I mean, I just think that Florida's transfers look a lot better than UVA's transfers. Spencer says lean UVA. So I just think, so I mean, they brought in, what's his name, Rode from St. Thomas. And I forget what the dude from Merrimack's name is. But I mean, they're both like phenomenal mid-major players, like conference player of the year level players. But Florida brings in Walter Clayton from Iona. Absolute beast. Tyrese Samuel from Seton Hall, dude who played 23 minutes a game, averaged double digits at Seton Hall in the Big East last year. Bring in Zion Pullen from UC Riverside, who averaged 18 points a game for them. Bring in a dude from San Francisco who played 20 minutes and I guess played for Florida's coach a couple years ago at San Francisco. They bring in a 7-1 center who played 25 minutes a game at Marshall last year. This is a very talented transfer class. Plus, I mean, obviously Riley Kugel is back. Great freshman last year. Put up a ton of points in Florida's opener. I just think that Florida has too much talent. Trust Bennett's pack line. I mean, that's fair. I don't love betting against Bennett. But I just think that this is a spot where if we're grabbing Florida, I mean, it was like -2.5. -1.5 right now. Give me the money line. We can get a plus 100 on points, but we'll call it -105. But definitely a lean for me. Wyoming ML. I don't want to touch UNLV in any way, shape, or form. I mean, they full shit the bed against Southern. Oh, UNLV plays Stetson? Okay. I still don't want to touch UNLV in any way, shape, or form. Also, I don't know if I have anything written down for this game. I don't remember looking at it. So I might have just missed it. IUPUI report. I respect my coin, so I'm not touching that game. But if I had to bet it, like if I had a free bet that I could only use on that game, I'm betting IUPUI ML. All right. Oh god, there's still so many games. Holy shit. All right, let's try and rapid fire through some of these. So Binghamton and Pitt. Lean Pitt. But Binghamton's good defensively. So with the big spread, I don't know if I can trust Pitt quite enough. Southern Miss and Akron. I mean, Akron looks like the better team. Southern Miss brought in Andre Curbelo, who is just an enigma. Probably staying away from that. Lehigh and Penn State. I kind of like Lehigh plus the points here. Not super impressed with Penn State's game against Delaware State. Lehigh played Cornell close in their first game. It spreads in the mid-20s. So, oh, no, is it 17.5? Okay, I misremembered what that one was at. But yeah, we're going to stay away from that game, I think. Talked about UTSA in Minnesota. Talked about Manhattan and Kansas. Gardner-Webb in Arkansas. Don't want to touch that game. And then the redemption game coming up next. Indiana State and Alabama. So the lean on that. So Indiana State lost their top 3 players. Brought in some decent transfers. I just said this game is sketch. I think a lot of these like home SEC teams, like Arkansas, Alabama, sketch today. I think the LSU game is sketch. The Ole Miss game is sketch. Like maybe out of all of those, LSU is the one that I want. But just sketch. Oakland and Illinois. Oakland just played a really good game against Ohio State, probably leaning them against Illinois. Their team looks good, but they were a bit underwhelming against Eastern Illinois. If Avila's out for Indiana State, I mean, yeah, then maybe that helps Bama for sure. Spencer leans Mississippi Valley State with the points. Yeah, I'm just not touching that game. Okay, Alabama State and Iowa. Alabama State looks awful. They played a pretty close game against Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss only beat them by 10. I think a lot of that was more Ole Miss just playing like shit as opposed to Alabama State doing anything particularly right. Iowa obviously lost some guys, but they just have so many guys who can score. They put up 110 against North Dakota in their first game. North Dakota definitely looks like a lot better team than Alabama State this year. This is another massive spread, but a spot where I think I'm happy to lay 30 plus. So give me Iowa minus 31.5, and I'm going to be on this. We'll call this a bet. And I'm going to try and just like get through the rest of this pretty fast so that we can do a recap of everything and try and put together the actual card. What have we got? We've got UT, Rio Grande Valley, and South Dakota. Like maybe it's Rio Grande Valley, but I'm off. And yeah, Iowa always plays well as a big spread, as a big favorite. They have a lot of these games over the years where they're kind of in this spot, and they seem like a team that's gonna consistently cover. Honestly, Iowa might score more points today than their football team scores all year. Bellarmine and Kansas State coming up next. This is another one that I've got to play that I like. So Bellarmine, big step back last year. Also, Rai, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. So Bellarmine, obviously great ASUN team in their first couple years with a very heavy senior-laden team. Everybody left last year. So they were young, they were inexperienced, they did not perform up to Bellarmine standards. But they returned a lot of guys. Which again, if you're like a super young team, that's a good thing. If you're like an old team that was bad returning guys, that's bad. I'm betting against you. But they returned a lot of good young players. They played bad against Washington in their first game, but Washington looks really good. Kansas State also played a rough game 1 against USC. Has a lot of scoring talent. Give me the over in this game. I think Bellarmine can go out and score. I mean, Bellarmine overs are always a little bit of a risk because they play slow. But I think K-State scores here. And I think Bellarmine scores. So give me the over. Just it's lowish. It's at like 142.5. If we were in the mid 140s, I'm out. But I'll take the over at 142.5. And I'll be on this. All right. Grambling and Colorado. I'm out on this one. Grambling's not a bad team for the SWAC. Colorado's good. Spreads in the mid-20s. Tennessee Tech and Murray State. Tennessee Tech fucking sucks. They're terrible. Give me Murray State. Murray State brings in a new coach. Steve Prom is actually back in Murray State. I think this is his second year there now. Or no, first year. Back at Murray State. Sorry. Second year. But another team that was like young last year returns a lot of guys this year who should all be improving. And then Steve Prom has won at Murray State before. This spread is relatively big at 12.5 or 12, we'll call it. It's 12 on DraftKings. But this is definitely a spot that I like. Love this spot. Definitely one of my favorite plays today, I think, is Murray State. Eastern Washington and Ole Miss. Want nothing in that. Nichols and LSU. I mean, Nichols is like brand new team. Their head coach left to take an assistant job somewhere, which was kind of weird. It's always weird when that happens. He was on, I think, Alabama's staff now. I would lean LSU, but I'm not really seriously considering betting it. Mississippi Valley State and Oklahoma. MVSU is terrible. I don't know if Oklahoma can score enough. And yeah, Murray State minus 12, D-Smalls. I'm on that for sure. And we're going to do a recap. I know the graphic is a giant mess with such a big slate right now. So we'll go through and do a recap at the end. I'm trying to get through everything. Sela and Auburn. Give me the over. I just think that this is a game where both offenses are going to perform pretty well. Sela is a pretty small team, but they've got guys who can shoot the hell out of the ball. Let me pull up some stats real quick. So they have a guy last year, point guard, shot 33% from three. Bring in a transfer from Austin Peay who shot 34%. They bring back two other players who shot 40+%. One of them shot 45% from three last year. The team can shoot. They're also small as hell. Auburn's bigs are going to eat. Auburn's guards are probably going to eat offensively. Auburn's first game finished with like a million points. Sela plays fast. They're 91 in tempo. Auburn is 63 in tempo. I mean, there's always the risk of this being a game where it really, really, really slows down in the last 5 minutes, and you kind of get backdoor undered. Because we're not going to get free throws here. But I think I think points is what we're going to get. So give me Auburn and Sela over 154. Spencer played Auburn minus the points. Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm betting aside, it's Auburn. Okay, Queens and Southern Illinois, massive tempo clash. Queens, one of the fastest teams in the country. SIU, one of the slower teams in the country. I'm staying the hell away. Harvard and Rice, I've got nothing. Rider and Marquette. Marquette did not cover in their first game. One of these teams with a mid-20 spread that didn't go and cover. But Rider can't shoot the three for shit. They have guys who score at the rim. I don't think it works against Marquette. Their best player from last year, Dwight Murray, is gone. I think this is the game where Marquette gets the job done. Call this a strong lean. Idaho State and St. Thomas. I kind of like Idaho State, although I don't quite know enough about... I kind of like St. Thomas. Don't know quite enough about Idaho State to really feel confident here. Though Temple and Navy, I'm out on that. SEMO and Butler, I'm pretty sure Butler minus the points is in here somewhere. Yeah, on the left on the fourth line. Love Butler. Little Rock and Illinois Chicago. Kind of like the look of Illinois Chicago, but Little Rock is a big wildcard team, so staying off of that. Dayton and Northwestern. Malachi Smith got hurt, out for the year for Dayton after game one, so not touching that. Tennessee and Wisconsin, already talked about this one. Give me Tennessee as a lean. I don't think I'm going to bet it. Yale and Gonzaga, sketchy game. San Diego State, BYU, super sketchy game. Delaware State and Texas, super sketchy game. Delaware State returns a lot. They didn't do very well against Penn State in their first game, but I think that they're a little bit better than that. Oregon and Montana. That's my whole lean there. IUPUI and Valpo. Again, if I'm betting it, it's IUPUI, which is crazy. Sac State and Stanford, super sketchy. Wright State, Colorado State, we've talked about this one already. Give me Wright State plus the points. And Missouri, Memphis. I kind of like Memphis with the new roster. I mean, both teams have new rosters. I think Memphis has a lot more talent. And then the rest of the games, I guess Clemson, UAB, we've talked about that. And then the last 6 on the slate I didn't get to. But Ben can talk about them tonight when he is live, because I think that those are all 8 or later Mountain Time, so 10 o'clock Eastern or later tip-offs. I guess one of them isn't. But yeah, Ben can handle those. All right. I'm losing my voice. That's the slate. Harvard and Rice, I've got nothing in that. Maybe it is points. I mean, I agree with Spencer on that, but I don't have a lot of conviction. Okay. Let's take a look where we're at here. So Central Connecticut State plus 8.5. I'm on that. It's like 3.5 minutes left. They're down by 6. So it's going to be close. Charlotte, I was streaming and completely forgot to bet that, which I'm happy about because the ML is plus 700 live now, and I don't want to get involved live. Okay, Wright State, plus 10.5. Definitely strong lean. I definitely like it. I don't know if it's going to quite be a bet. Also need to consider, like, I don't want to have 20 bets today. I think I'm cool. I'm cool making like 10 bets on what's left. We'll see where we're at. And in fact, let me make another little text box. This is the list of bets. Go like that. Go like that. Move this over here. All right. The Dilberto endorsement on Wright State. My 2 Mountain West people that I trust the most on opposite sides here. Okay. So Wright State's definitely a lean. Duke is definitely a lean. Probably like Duke a little more than Wright State. The A&M OSU under, I'm probably not going to bet. Tennessee -2, probably not going to bet. I don't really want to fade that system. Also, what's up, Brad? Says, late to the stream. Any thoughts on UGA? Yeah, I'm spacing who they're playing. They're playing against Wake Forest. Yeah, I like Wake Forest in that game. Okay. So let's see. So let's finish up the things that are already listed as bets. So I like Memphis as a strong lane. Kentucky. -28.5 will be a bet. Not many plays today, Piaga? Yeah, absolutely. No plays today. Sorry, guys. We had 80 plus games, and we're not betting any of them. GG's. Okay, so we're betting Kentucky. Boston College -9. Definitely a bet. Chattanooga and Louisville over. I like that. Davidson plus 11.5. I like that a lot. Youngstown State and Michigan over. I'm just a little bit sketched about Youngstown State. I like Wake Forest a lot. Butler -19.5 is listed as a bet. I like that. Give me Kansas -36 for sure as a bet. St. Joe's -6.5 on the over. I probably want something there, but give me Purdue -29.5. A lot of big favorites today, it looks like, but I'm cool with that. Give me the Austin P and George Mason over 136.5. Little mid-major bozo pack over pack. Love that. Central going to get down 4. Awesome. That's big. Also, Charlotte is down 16. So it's apologies to anybody who did end up betting that. I'm happy I forgot. What do we got next? Cincy minus 24. Yeah, that's a strong lean against a pretty dog shit team. The under in Abilene Christian and NC State. I like that one a lot. UNC Greensboro. I don't know if we can trust Greensboro. Again, against an absolutely terrible team. I like Furman a lot. I like Florida. Ben hates... I hate Charlotte too, Ben, honestly. Clip that and send it to her out of context. Give me Iowa for sure. Minus 31.5. Yeah, the Bellarmine. Kansas State over. $142.5 is a bet. Murray State minus 12 is a bet. Auburn. Sela over 154.5 is a bet. CCSU just missed 2 free throws. Hey, still just down 4. I don't want OT. Give me a fucking 7-point loss. Okay, so how many bets is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I said I wanted like 10 bets today. We might need to stretch that a little bit. So of these strong leans, Memphis is sketchy just because there's so much roster turnover on both of those teams. So on a big slate, we'll stay off of that. Marquette. Yeah, I don't know about Marquette after the... Not like a bad first game, but a kind of mid first game. Although, again, yeah, Ryder's pretty bad. Cincy against Detroit. Who is Murr? Murr is Murray State. You can't call them like MSU because MSU is Michigan State. An important lesson to learn is that unique team abbreviations are very important. Like if you post GT minus 11, people will think you're talking about Georgia Tech, but Ben may or may not have done something like that with Georgetown, and been on the correct side of a bet, but had the wrong team abbreviation with coincidentally that team also having like the same spread that day. That was in hindsight a pretty funny moment. Nick, I missed the Auburn Sela analysis. TLDR. Sela has a bunch of sharpshooters, doesn't play any defense. They don't have any size. Auburn is going to score at will, and I think Sela scores enough to keep it high-ish scoring. Yeah, it's always GTWN. Yep. Also, Central Connecticut State down 2 now. Holy. Okay. So, what else do we want? I kind of want Cincy against Detroit, although I guess I have enough questions about their scoring that we don't really need to force that one in. Chat, what do you like out of the things that I have up as leans? Like, if we're placing our money in just like one or two of these spots, what are we doing? Honestly, I kind of like Wake Forest here. I'll put question marks around this one, but I'm definitely considering Wake Forest. Piaga likes Memphis. Yeah, I mean plus money is nice. Payson really likes Wake Forest. Papa Bane's on Wake. Okay, if we've got people on Wake, then I'm down for some Wake. Piaga likes Tennessee. Yeah, I definitely like Tennessee. I just don't want to bet against that trend because I hate trends, but that one makes sense. CCS, you're trying to win this? Let's go. Just no OT, please. We've already lost one underdog plus the points because of OT this year. I don't want another one. Joe's and Penn over. Yeah, I want something in that game too. Check Mikey. What's Mikey on? Is Mikey on Tennessee? There's like limited bets. Are we recapping? Yeah, we're recapping. So the full paragraph is the full list of leans. Everything on the right in white is what we're betting. Probably looking for like one more bet. So I guess the question with the St. Joe's game is it the over or is it St. Joe's to score? I think it's the over. I think I agree. Taking a screenshot and tailing. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to post the full card on Twitter when I'm done with the stream. Okay, he's on Auburn, Memphis, South Carolina, Kentucky, Duke over. I'm on definitely leaning Memphis. I'm on Kentucky for sure. I don't want to side in the Auburn game. I got the over there. I think Silas scores. Duke over. Yeah, I've just got Duke minus 5.5 there. Okay, so what else? What else looks good? I think the Abilene Christian NC State under is kind of sneaky, although the foul concerns are definitely a concern. All right, yeah, let's just rock with this. Spencer's on Auburn, Iowa, Virginia Tech, Clemson, and Utah. All right. Okay, so I think this is the card. So I think the full card today, in addition to Central Connecticut State plus 8.5, which is already going on, and then accidentally losing out on a loser in Charlotte ML. We've got Kentucky minus 28.5. We've got Boston College minus 9. Butler minus 19.5, Kansas minus 36, Purdue minus 29.5, Austin P, George Mason over 136.5, Iowa minus 31.5, Bellarmine, Kansas State over 142.5, Murray State minus 12, Auburn, Southeastern Louisiana over 154.5. 154.5. It's time to end the stream if I'm saying shit like 154.5. Wake Forest money line plus 110, and St. Joe's and Penn, little Philly battle over 149.5. And yeah, Zach, NC State overs aren't the play like they used to be. Yeah, no, especially against an Abilene Christian team that's like such a good defensive team. The concern is free throws. Favorite 3 out of the list. Okay, so if I'm betting 3 of these, I think Boston College. It's safe to call that the POD. It's what I pitched on the surgical stream. It was very good going through everything with everybody. This stream is so helpful for me. I mean, I know you guys are here because it's probably some combination of helpful and entertaining for you. It really does help me out. Just like having people in here who have also looked at some of these games, being able to bounce ideas back and forth, concerns, bounce back and forth, bounce like injury news that somebody might have missed. It's like super useful for me. So my PODs are liable to change on something like this. I still like Boston College. So BC minus 9 at the Citadel. It's going to be my POD. Number 2. Give me, honestly, I think Murray State is right up there. Probably my number 2. And then number 3 is maybe Butler. I think Butler's a contender. Iowa's a contender. The Austin P George Mason over is a contender. But I think if we're going 3, if you're just looking for 3 spreads to tail, maybe we'll go Boston College, Butler, Murray State. All right, so we've got first win of the day, or I guess for me, first win of the day. For everybody who tailed Ben on Air Force, already second win of the day in the bag with Central Connecticut State. W's on that. 12 more to go. Let's go 7-5. That's all we want. All right, so W stream. Appreciate everyone hanging out. There's no shot that Trent is still here, but Trent, if you are still here, again, massive thank you for the raid, and W, everyone who came over from the Book It stream. This isn't even the last time we're going to be live today. Ben is going to be live in a little over 4 hours. We've got Ben is going to be live with the early look at tomorrow's slate. My voice is going. I've been streaming for between this one and the earlier one, like 3 hours a day, basically by myself, just talking the whole time. So yeah, W streams, W chat. Let's go make some money, baby. Everyone, good luck with your bets today. Unless you're fading me, I might be around in the chat while Ben is streaming to sweat some stuff out. Have a great rest of your Friday, and I will see you next time. And you know, maybe there's nothing on the schedule. But maybe, just maybe, a little Saturday morning stream too. Or like Saturday afternoon to go through some stuff. But yeah, have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Peace.